Hello, football fans, and welcome to episode 10 of View from the Sideline podcast. Coming up this week, we take a look back at all the action from the weekend in the Premier League, where Leicester break records on a wet and windy night at St Mary's, Watford remain winless with another ball draw, and there's lots of talking points raised by our old friend VAR. Pete attempts to close the gap in this week's teaser, and we've an update from the weekend's predictions, and Chris will no doubt have another Chelsea stat in the wonders of white. Lots of goals and lots of talking points to get through, so let's get started with this week's episode. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Views from the Sideline podcast. It's Rich here, and as always, Chris is with us. How are you doing, Chris?
I'm all right, Rich. How are you?
I'm good. Good. Another win for Chelsea at the weekend.
Just racking them up now, mate. It's just becoming the norm now. My team winning, your team losing. It's just how it is now.
I can't wait to hear your views this week, and also your, which is now customary Chelsea stat.
Well, you'll have to wait and see. You never know.
I can't wait for it. It's almost part of the podcast now, so yeah. It would feel wrong if you didn't do it. So we'll get cracking because there's plenty to talk about this week. So many goals, so many talking points with VAR in the Premier League. So we'll go straight to Pete's teaser. So last week, he got the better of us with the top 10 Premier League goal scorers.
Yeah.
So 6-3 overall. So what's this week's teaser then, Pete?
In Premier League history, which referee has taken charge of most games?
Okay, it's now 6-4 because I've got no idea.
I'm not very good with referee. I only really know the ones that are sort of current. There may be a couple. I'm just not good with their names.
Can we use VAR?
Maybe this could be like a lifeline.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've probably got 3 or 4 refs we can name, and then it's just the ultimate guess from there. So yeah, not very confident, but as always, we'll come back to the teaser at the end of the podcast. So we'll get going with a Premier League review. Like I said, there's lots to talk about, and I think we'll start with the first game from the weekend's action. So I think that's probably the best place to start. Down at St Mary's, 9-0 Leicester.
Couple of goals.
Who saw that coming?
No one.
I fancied Leicester to win, but maybe
but
not like that.
You don't expect it. So I was actually listening to. I heard from about the 4th to about the 30th minute in the car on the radio, and I couldn't believe what I was hearing. To be honest with you, it just seemed like every time Leicester had the ball, the commentator was saying it was a goal. It was just a bit surreal. Obviously, the sending off didn't help whatsoever.
Well, I think that's a good place to start. So if you take that sort of 60-90 seconds passage of play, where there's the foul, which then VAR goes back to have a look at. So the foul's committed, the ref plays advantage, Leicester continue on the attack, it's 1-0, they go back to the foul, and then Bertrand sent off.
Yeah.
Not an ideal way to start a game at all. It's like a double whammy. What's your opinion on the red card? Agree with it or not?
I agree with it. I just think with VAR now, you have to just be so careful with any foul you are committing. It is you're basically being watched for the full 90 minutes. The thing before VAR, I don't know. Before VAR, I would have probably just said maybe a yellow. It's hard. Where it's changed so much this season. Obviously, not the rules as such, but obviously.
I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think last season, that's more debatable about whether it's a red or a yellow. But with VAR, because there's so many angles to replay it,
you
can slow it down as much as you want. Someone else's
opinion as well, isn't it? It's not just the referee's opinion. You've got someone else who's watching the game.
Yeah.
There's also got an opinion. So like you said, it's not an ideal start. But they, after the sending off, they completely caved. I don't think I've seen a team go down to 10 men and just fall apart so bad and so quickly as well. As straight after the sending off, the goals just were coming thick and fast, and it just didn't seem to be a way out for Southampton. They didn't have until he got him in at half time and changed it slightly at half time. They were just all over the place.
It's one of those when you've got when you get a red card, there's normally some sort of reaction from the manager, whether they're taking off like an attacker to replace the defender. But I think when you've got a double whammy, that you've got a player sent off and you've conceded that goal that early on. There's a couple of Saints fans that I was talking to over the weekend and the early part of this week that they went to the game, and I think they left at like 3-0. Yeah, and it's almost like one of their complaints was that there was no reaction. There was no reaction from the manager to change the way they were playing. There was no reaction from the players, and the overall game, because I think there's a lot of games that when you're 3-4, 5-0 up at half time, normally the second half will finish 0-0. It's one of those games where
you kind of just come
it's damage,
isn't it? You're done. You're done, and
it's foot off the gas versus damage limitation. But I know in this game that there's reports that Johnny Evans was talking about the record at half time, and I think that's what drove the Leicester players on to keep going. And as poor as Saints were, because it was a woeful performance, Leicester were so good. And I thought they could have and probably should have scored more.
Yeah. You messaged me at one point, didn't you, saying double digits ? And
I was hoping for it to go to double, but it was 7-0 for so long. I was wishing for it to go to 10.
Yeah, because I remember messaging you at 7, and then I kind of looked at my phone again, and it was 9, and I was like, oh, God, blimey. Not a great night if you were a Saints fan, and probably when you went back to work on Monday morning, probably not ideal to walk in, especially if you've got a Leicester fan in the office. I don't really know any Leicester fans, but obviously
I know a couple, but
we know what two Southampton fans. So
but
brilliant.
Story of two teams: Saints struggling, played awfully. They've got to improve. Man City at the weekend.
Oh, they're Man City.
Good luck.
Yesterday, didn't they? In the cup.
Yeah,
to be fair to them, they were better. so
yeah. I wonder what the leagues. The Premier League's a different story though. Saturday. I wonder. What football's like. Saints will probably go and end up winning. But anyway, so obviously that's a record away win in the Premier League, and a joint record overall win. They obviously matched Man United's 9-0 victory over Ipswich. I think it was Ipswich. Okay, so we'll move on. So we'll go to Carrow Road for Norwich against Man United. So I think this is where the VAR chat kicks off.
And penalty talk as well, because I think Man United I hope the Chelsea Man United game goes to penalties tonight if it's a draw.
Well, what I think United should do is sign Milivojevic from Palace and basically see if they can use him as like an NFL style kicker, where he literally just comes on for penalties.
He's probably good enough for that United side anyway.
Well, yeah, probably, yeah. So talking the penalties, so the first one, so the foul on Dan James, for me, it's a bit harsh. I think he sort of runs across the defender's path, and there's a bit of a tangle.
There's the thing is with James, he's so quick, and I think it's more reactions from the defender. I think but like you said, he's kind of run across him.
But do you not feel that attackers are getting a lot cleverer when it comes to playing the box and gaining sort of every advantage they can to actually get a penalty? That's why this one feels a little bit soft for me. That James is sort of almost running an angle where he's going slightly away from goal, and it's almost as if he just changes his direction
because he knows.
Absolutely. Any
Very
sort
clever.
of contact
So,
absolutely.
It's clever, but
any sort of contact, he's probably going to get a penalty.
I thought it was soft, to be fair, but
like you said, I'd agree.
Now with VAR, I think any sort of contact's going to.
I almost feel that justice was done that Rashford missed it.
I think there was a 90% chance he was going to miss it, to be fair, with the record they've got at the moment.
But I mean, Solskjaer, I don't know if you've heard Solskjaer after the match saying that he thinks, we'll go on to the second penalty in a second, but that both should have been retaken because Tim Krul was off his line. I mean, I hate this rule because I don't think, I think I've only ever seen one penalty. Wasn't there West Ham Man City first game of the season? Was that that was retaken for encroachment, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was from players, not from the.
I don't know the last time I saw a penalty retaken because the keeper was off his line.
Every goalkeeper steps forward slightly and then dives the ball. It's not. I can see what he's saying, but it's not going to get retaken for that.
No. Second penalty. I mean, I think we should probably just in the middle of that. Rashford's goal, his touch and finish,
so good.
Especially considering he just missed the penalty.
And to be fair,
his touch was unbelievable.
Him and Martial, I thought they worked really well on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's definitely
the third goal showed that, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
great
definitely.
Third goal. Yeah. So the second penalty, this one I think is a penalty, but if VAR wasn't around, that is never given ever.
Yeah, no, the VAR definitely helped for the second one. It's just it was a penalty. Don't get me wrong, but like if like you said, if VAR wasn't there, I don't think it would have been given that.
No.
But
well, I mean, and realist. I mean, the two penalties they didn't really hamper United that much, really, apart from the fact that they can't score a penalty.
The thing is, Norwich have been on, ever since they beat City. Sorry, they've been on this horrendous run, and I think Man United have played them at the right time. Obviously, coming off the back of a 1-1 draw with Liverpool, it was the ideal team for them to play to get a win and grow more in confidence. I would thought, hopefully not too much confidence tonight, but
well, yeah. I mean, you mentioned the Man City game for Norwich. One thing for me with them at the moment is Pukki. I mean, I think when they're 2-0 down, he has a great chance, and in my opinion, he should put that away.
I think at the start of the season.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, and he hasn't scored since the Man City win, and Norwich as a whole have only got 1 point since. I think that was last week against Bournemouth. So their players are slowly coming back from injury, and I don't think it's a time to be overly concerned if you were a Norwich fan. But there is going to have to come a time where they start picking up points.
Form-wise, they're probably the worst team in the league, but I wouldn't say squad-wise they're the worst team in the league. So
no, I mean, Watford would give them a run for their money.
I still think
that's for sure.
I still think they'll stay up Norwich. So
yeah, I agree.
I've still good feeling about them.
I agree. So we'll move on to Anfield on Sunday. So Liverpool Spurs. I mean, I get this out of the way, right?
Did you expect Tottenham to get anything out of the game?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. And this is one thing that's really frustrated me during the week is there's so many Spurs fans saying about how negative they were and the tactics and the team selection from Pochettino, and they tried to play on the break and nullify Liverpool. Name me one team that will go to Anfield this year and will not do exactly the same. I remember when Mourinho was at United and he used to go to Anfield and park the bus, but I think
grounds and park the bus. Mourinho,
well, exactly. I think there's got to be some context around this.
Yeah,
look at how bad Spurs are at the moment.
But to be fair, you say that, but you weren't. I wouldn't say you were that bad on Sunday. You've certainly played worse this season. And
I mean, if you look at our season so far, so in my view, to try and put some context on the performance, we score after 46, 47 seconds, and there's no way any Spurs fan, or probably any football fan in general, who thinks that Spurs are going to hold out for 90 plus minutes and hang on to a 1-0 lead.
It was a
bit
just not
too
early.
Happen.
If that makes sense, you scored too early. I think
absolutely. Liverpool put wave after wave after wave of pressure on Spurs. All the sort of match reviews, the player ratings, all that sort of stuff afterwards have got Gazzaniga being sort of man of the match. And there's a reason why the Spurs goal was getting absolutely peppered. On a plus point for Spurs, and it's not about what ifs, but Harry Kane had a decent chance to make it 2-0. Son hits the bar. I mean, it's an open goal, but it's a difficult chance. He hits the bar to where he could make it 2-0. If either of those go in, then it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
But as soon as Liverpool score, I knew it. I knew they'd go on to win, and I think a lot of people did. But the thing, from a Spurs point of view, it is building on the Red Star performance. There was a bit of determination in the side. I mean, the way Sissoko sort of burst through the middle for the Spurs goal so early on, it's almost like that sort of play that is what Spurs need. And if it wasn't for sort of Serge Aurier being a bit clumsy, you never know. We may have come away with a point, but I don't think it's as much doom and gloom as a lot of Spurs fans are saying. And I think, look at the season. We've gone away to Liverpool, we've gone away to City, we've gone away to Arsenal, and I know we're in, I think, 11th or 12th, so bottom half of the table, but I think you've just got to give it a chance. I don't think anyone expected them to win at Liverpool.
No, I don't think so. But speaking of Liverpool, they are 2-1 down now in the EFL Cup tonight. They
really?
Arsenal just scored a second. Yeah, Matt Martinelli scored again for Arsenal. So, yeah.
Well, I wouldn't imagine that's high on Liverpool's agenda.
Give you a little segue there to the.
Just if you've got any points on this game, but just to finish it, we're talking about. In the Norwich game about strikers being or attackers being clever in getting penalties. That's exactly what Mane does.
Oh, so yeah.
He gets himself between the ball and Aurier, and Aurier doesn't know he's there. He swings his leg at it to try and clear it and takes it out. Penalty. I mean, it's not rocket science, but they are getting a lot cleverer.
Yeah, they've been doing their research. These speedy attackers, I think, and they've seen that there's a gap in the market for more penalties. So,
yeah, right. Okay, so Spurs ran over. So on to an even bigger run. Arsenal Palace. What a game!
This didn't have any talking points in it.
What a game! Honestly, where do you want to start?
I think we should start with the obvious. How about your club captain walking off to a chorus of boos, cupping your ear, and then.
Where are you on this though? How do you feel about booing your own players?
No matter how bad I don't think you should boo a player, especially a captain. I don't. But then again, I don't think the reaction from him has helped. It was slight booing, and then the boos got more and more as he was walking further and further off the pitch because of the things he was doing, and I think
Well, I've read today that he's refusing to apologise, which I'm not sure is a good
they've offered him
move.
counselling, haven't they?
Yeah, and I know that's. I've also read some of the players went round to console him, but it's almost like the booing starts because he's taking so long to get off the pitch.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But it's not as if it's the last 10 minutes, is it?
Yeah, it should have been a bit more urgency from him, I think, of getting off. But I just...
Isn't he substituted with like 20, 25 minutes to go, though? It's not late in the game.
I all starts, he wasn't very happy about coming off. I think that was the initial bit. I don't think he expected to come off. And then... But
there's a stat that he gets subbed a hugely high percentage of games.
He gets sent off quite a bit as well. That's the problem. He gets booked a lot as well. But anyway, onto the game itself. It was a cracking game. It's not the first time this season Arsenal have dropped points from being 2 goals up as well.
Well, I mean, let's take the game from 2-0 up. So Arsenal scored 2 goals from set pieces, both centre backs scoring. Game seems relatively normal, and then Zaha gets fouled. Referee goes straight for his notebook without hesitation. Bearing in mind how VAR has been operating so far, where literally nothing has been overturned, then all of a sudden, over this weekend, everything seems to be overturned. Now, so my view, it is a penalty.
Yeah.
Zaha probably does make a slight meal of it, but I think that's what players do these days. But why is the referee not going to the TV monitor to check his decision?
Yeah.
It's been overruled. He's immediately gone for a yellow card. No penalty. It's a dive. It's been overturned. Why is he not looking? The right decision has come in the end, but there's... we're suddenly overturning things.
There's a thing about those monitors. Has anyone actually used the monitors yet?
I don't think so. No. I think they may have been used once, but I don't. Then there's certainly. I mean, they should have been used quite a lot. He makes a meal of
going down. There's no doubt about that. But in my eye, it was a penalty. There's no... I don't think there was any doubt in that. But
no, I agree.
But
I mean, that changes the course and the momentum of the game. So Palace get the equaliser, and then Socrates thinks he scored what is the winner. Now,
this is the thing about...
I mean, he does the full aeroplane, the knee slide. I mean, he's proper sort of school disco, isn't he? Sliding on his knees.
He is committed 100% to that celebration.
But I don't mind Arsenal, whether I should hate them as a Spurs fan or not. But I've got to say, how on earth that is disallowed, I've got no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Slightly 3 points there. Yeah.
How is that clear and obvious, Chris? Try and explain it.
Well, it's unexplainable. I didn't see it until I watched. I heard about it, and then when I seen it on TV, I was just, it took me a while to figure out what was actually what was it, kind of clear and obvious in speech marks, because it's not. I don't know, mate. Honestly,
but I mean, Cahill's sort of on Callum Chambers is sort of leaning into the back of it, and there's a bit of a tussle. And he sort of almost trips over his ankle, but apparently it was given for a push. But I mean, it's just beyond me.
It's
where is the push exactly?
Yeah, well, I didn't see a push.
So I mean, I think Arsenal have got to feel a little bit hard done by, but then it's not over there. The drama is not over. So Guendouzi on Zaha on the in the centre circle on the halfway line, That's got to be a red card, surely.
Oh,
You can say that. Is it a clear and obvious foul or a clear and obvious goal scoring position? If I've got someone in a foot race against Wilf Zaha, I'm backing Zaha.
Oh yeah, you're not going to catch him, and
I think there's a real case for that to be a red card.
Oh, I thought he should have been sent off. It was almost deliberate in some ways, but yeah, a very, very
what a game!
good end to the game. Which unfortunately, I think VAR was let the game down a little bit towards the end of the game there, but.
I don't know if you've seen the footage today that's come out of Aubameyang, where he got stuck in traffic coming out of the Emirates.
He's in his nice Lamborghini.
And he gets accosted by some Arsenal fans.
It was a woman, wasn't it? It was a woman, wasn't it? She was shouting something.
I'm not sure, but there was a lot of like, we're paying X for season tickets and we're
surely
getting our money's worth, basically.
You wouldn't be leaving the ground that early.
Well,
I think I might have waited for an hour or so just for it to die down.
I might have stayed the night, I think. Just in my sleeping bag. Anyway, we'll move on. So a slightly less controversial game, but a couple of things in here for you, Chris. So Burnley, Chelsea, 4-0 up. 2 late goals from Burnley take the gloss off it a little bit, but let us know what you think.
My script's pretty much exactly what I put. Although I put shine. I put shine.
Shine's a better word.
I'd say Pulisic's best performance in the Chelsea shirt so far. It was almost like his arrival to the Premier League. Was there. He was given the time, and I think in the last couple of weeks he has played quite well when he's come on. So I think he deserved to start the game. But yeah, 3 good goals, a couple of deflections, but I don't think you can take too much away from him. But like you said, a little bit of the shine was taken off the performance. I think when they kind of just. They were 4-0 up and then they kind of just sat back a bit too much and then conceded 2 late goals. But, I was, any win is good at the moment, in the position that they're in at the moment. I think, it was a good win. Another 4 goals away from home as well. So
I think you made Burnley look pretty ordered, which I think is difficult to do Turf Moor. Realised Pulisic's first professional hat-trick, but obviously it was also when he got his second. That's the first time he'd ever scored more than a professional game, which surprised me. I thought he would have at least 2 before. I thought he played really well. I thought it was quite moving. I don't think he knew about the tradition of getting the match ball. So he had to be reminded by the Chelsea players to go to the referee to get the ball. Yeah, I don't think he knew about that, which was quite cute, I suppose. Hudson-Odoi, was it a dive for you? I mean, Sean Dyche went pretty mad, as he does with diving.
I don't think it was a dive.
But I mean, he got booked for it, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm just joking. It was a dive.
But is it a dive though? Is it play acting, theatrical diving? Because I don't think it was. I think there's a little bit of contact, and it's one of those where he's probably trying to be clever, but he's not clever enough.
I think he's anticipating contact, and it just hasn't. There's slight contact, but not enough. But I think he's already committed to going down, and it's just a bit too late, I think, after that. But when I thought it was a penalty, actually, when he first, obviously it happened, I thought it was a penalty. But obviously when they slowed it down, it was a lot clearer.
But a good win nonetheless, 7 in a row.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's
in all competitions.
At the start of the season, we had 2 good away wins in the Champions League. playing Man United tonight. Arsenal have gone 3-1 up. And,
really?
Yeah, that Martinelli scored again. But yeah, I as a Chelsea fan, very happy at the moment.
Yeah, you got to be happy. They're proving everybody wrong. So carrying on the penalty theme, if we go to the Amex, the Brighton Everton.
More goals.
So
we were treated to a lot of goals this week.
We were, and could have been more. So two sort of differing penalty decisions here. So Richarlison, I mean, he's sort of getting dragged down in the box, but nothing's given. My view, I think that is a pen. And then you've got the Brighton one where Michael Keane on Connolly. I mean, this is the big debate one, I think.
I thought the Richarlison one was probably more of a penalty. Yeah,
I'd say so. I think you've seen penalties given for that type of
when you see it at first, I don't think it does take a couple of views to see that it was but I thought it was more of a penalty than what the Brighton one was, but it's my opinion.
But I mean, Michael Keane, his eyes are on the ball. He's watching it sort of come out of the sky, and he's there's clearly contact, but I mean, he would have to be really clever to do that on purpose when he's not even looking.
He's not.
So, I mean, for me, that one is all about intent. So there's contact. There's no denying there's contact, but
he's watching the ball.
Football's a contact sport.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's intent. Did he mean to do it? I
don't think he did.
I almost think that. But I'm with you. I think the Richarlison one was probably more of a penalty. But from I'll be pretty happy. You're 2-1 down. Then you get that, let's call it a soft penalty, and then you game with an own goal. I mean, I don't think you can blame Luca Digne because he's got to do something. The ball's sort of played into that channel, isn't it? Where you've got to try and do something. You can't leave it because the chances of someone going behind are pretty high. So you've got to stick your leg out, and he's just unfortunate that he plants it in the back of his own net in the last minute, and they go on and lose.
3-2. Yeah, it doesn't help Silva though, does it?
No, and this is. I mean, it's a big game Sunday now, isn't it? Everton Spurs, sort of two under pressure managers. Just quickly on to finish off on this one, Pickford. Where are you with him? I mean, I thought he was probably at fault for the first two goals.
Well, yeah, more the first one, but I don't know what it is about Pickford. He's a good goal.
Best keeper. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Is he still living off the World Cup?
He's a good goalkeeper, but I don't know. I just don't think he's any better than. He hasn't developed, I wouldn't say, into definitely not a world-class goalkeeper. He's but
he seems to play a lot better for England than he does for Everton. But I don't know whether that's the defence that's in front of him or what. But I mean, a decent win for Brighton nonetheless. That they'll get a lot of their points at home, which I think. I mean, I tipped them to go down. I mean, I've sort of changed my mind a little bit. I think their home form will keep them up, but Everton need to turn it around pretty sharpish. So off to the Etihad, Man City, Villa. So 0-0 at half time. Then, I mean, if you're going to score a goal in the second half, 21 seconds in is
not bad.
It's probably as good a time as any. And I mean, it's completely changes your team talk, doesn't it, for both sides?
Yeah. But what with Raheem Sterling? Do you think at the moment he has a case for people to say he is currently the best player in the world? I've read a few things
I think
Twitter
probably
this
on
week.
current form. I mean, Ronaldo's not setting the world alight, is he? Really?
No.
And I mean, who else are you looking at? I mean, Mbappe, Messi.
Well, I think Mbappe and Messi, but
He's
I just
probably up there.
I've seen a few tweets over the weekend saying that he on form, like you said, he is currently probably the best player in the world, and I didn't think about it until I saw it, but I probably agreed, to be honest with you. I think everything he touches at the moment is a goal, or he turns something into a goal.
I think on form, there's definitely a case. I mean, I think he would have to continue his sort of current trajectory for another sort of 4, 5, 6 years before he's put in the same bracket as like Messi and Ronaldo.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think he's on
form. I mean, yeah, of course. I don't see why not.
Fernandinho.
Well, it's another sort of centre half, isn't it?
Goes into my already on a yellow card, makes a tackle.
It was clumsy, wasn't it?
But it leaves them short at the back because they ain't got a lot of centre backs.
But he's only he was banned for that. That's his ban
for last night.
Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, if you're going to get banned for a game, make it the fourth round of the Carabao Cup at home to Saints. That's the game you want to be banned for. But yeah, it's a clumsy tackle.
Yeah, but even they were dominant second half City, and I think Pep gave them probably a bit of a kick up the arse half time.
Yeah, I mean, for the first goal, I think Tyrone Mings needs to do better. I don't think Jesus should be beating him in the air for that flick on, really. And then the second goal, I mean, there's a whole debate about whether David Silva touched it or not. I mean, he's claiming it, which seems silly, really, because if he's claiming it, then it's offside. So, I mean, he's better off not claiming it. But the thing with me for City is they score one, then 10 minutes they score another, and then 10 minutes after that they score another, and they just sort of keep sort of squeezing the life out of you, really. Yeah, but I mean, they need to win while Liverpool are still winning. City need to win as well. So 3 points for them. Villa are on a good run of form. I still think they'll be all right.
Villa have actually just scored this evening as well in the EFL
Wolves,
game,
aren't they?
They are playing Wolves, and Liverpool have just scored a penalty as well. That was 3-2 just before half time.
3-2. What game! What a game! Okay, so we'll go to West Ham, Sheffield United. A good point for Sheffield United again on the road. West Ham.
They don't. I told you this. They don't
be a little disappointed.
They don't lose away from home, Sheffield United, and these are the sorts of performances that we are now expecting of Sheffield United. If they do go a goal down, they put in a real gritty sort of performance to get a goal and get a draw. And they are hard to break down. I don't think there's any question about that. I think they are a really well organised team, from defence to attack. They're very, very organised, and they will be hard to beat. And I think probably a lot of people wrote them off before the start of the season, but they've got a lot of heart, and I think that does help. That will pick them up a few points along the way this season.
Well, they were the promoted team that I thought would have struggled the most, to be honest. And I agree with you. I mean, the equaliser was a little bit scrappy. I mean, it's almost a bit of a scuffed shot that sort of creeps in the corner. But I don't really think West Ham offered that much.
They'll be disappointed, I think. Especially being a goal out.
Well, funny. One of the interesting things that I read after the game was that West Ham have taken the lead in three of the last 4 Premier League games, and they haven't won any of them. So they've ended up drawing 2 and losing 1 of those 3 games in which they've taken the lead. And if you think where they were when they beat United, I haven't just taken one of your stats, have I?
No, you're right.
Damn it, I will one day. One day I will. But yeah, I mean, if you think where West Ham were when they beat United 2-0, they've sort of been on the decline ever since. So just inconsistency, I guess. So off to Newcastle. So Newcastle Wolves. it was a bit of a nothing game. Then Newcastle scored and looked pretty good for about 15, 20 minutes. Then second half, Wolves were just completely dominant.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the when Spurs were in the Europa League, I always used to find it watching them on a Sunday. It's almost as if they need the first half to get going after a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And this is kind of how I thought Wolves were.
Sending off. What did you think?
I don't. I think it probably is. I think it probably is a red, but it's one of those ones that I don't know. I think if it wasn't given, I don't think you'd be like, oh my god, surprised.
No, yeah.
But I mean, I think he knew it. I think he knew that. I think Longstaff knew. His face was sort of like, oh god.
The look in his eye, I think, told the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a silly thing. I don't know why Wolves wore their away kit.
There wasn't really any need, was there?
No, I don't know whether this is a whole commercial thing, but anyway,
Maybe
a silly thing. But I just thought, why are they wearing green when they wear gold and Newcastle are black and white? So last game, they're making a bit of a habit of this. Watford being last in the reviews. Nil.
Another
still without a win. Scored one, conceded one in that time, so they're not conceding, but they're not scoring. And they've got Chelsea next. Nice easy game for them, but
hang on,
they just what?
Yeah, I just
they just look slow. They just look like there's no desire. I don't know what's up with Watford. They need to snap out of this soon, otherwise they're going to find themselves in big trouble. And it's almost as if they're lucky that the teams around them, like your Saints, your Newcastle, teams like that, that they're dropping points. They're dropping points as well because they could be a lot further adrift than they are at the moment. So just want to ask you a quick question, Chris, just very quickly. If you were able to redo your predictions now from the start of the season, where you had your top 4 and your bottom 3, would you change it?
Yes. Without a doubt, I would change it.
I'd certainly change my top 4. I'd take Spurs and United out.
I'd change to the top 4, and I would probably change. Yeah, actually, I would probably just change both.
I think I'd definitely take Bournemouth out from being relegated. And probably Sheffield United.
I'd take Sheffield United out. If I could take Sheffield United out, I would take Sheffield United out, and I'd probably put Watford in there. And top 4, I think I already had. Do I have Chelsea in top 4? I think I had Chelsea anyway in the top 4.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
That's the sort of faith I have in my team. But yeah.
It's funny, before the season, you think, oh yeah, this is nailed on. I know who's going to do this. And I think we both had City to win the league as well. But there you go. Anyway, so that wraps up the Premier League, and with it also part 1 of today's podcast. So we'll be back in part 2, where we'll start with the EFL review. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this week's View from the Sideline podcast. So we're going to kick off part 2 with our EFL review. So we'll start in the Championship, where West Brom kept their 2-point lead at the top, despite dropping points in a 2-2 draw at home to Charlton. West Brom were leading that game until the 93rd minute, when Charlton equalised from the penalty spot. There's nothing worse than sort of a last-minute equaliser or a last-minute winner against you. Preston, they seem to be the surprise team so far this season. They move into second, above Leeds now after a 3-2 home win at Blackburn. Leeds, they dropped to third after a goalless draw away at Sheffield Wednesday. And I don't know if you know this, Chris, but that was the first 0-0 draw between Leeds and Sheffield Wednesday since 1969.
I did not know that.
That's worthy of going in your stats section. That is
Maybe.
a long time since they had a 0-0 draw. Swansea, they move up to 4th after a 1 win in the South Wales derby against Cardiff. Sheffield Wednesday and Bristol City complete the playoff places. Both earn a point in draw. Sheffield and Bristol City. Wigan are bottom despite getting a point. They're now level on Stoke, who lost for the second time this week, going down 2-0 away at Millwall. So Stoke did have a bit of a mini revival, getting 2 wins on the spin, but they've now lost their last 2. The final relegation place is filled by Millwall, who got a point in a 0-0 draw at home to Fulham. So 3 draws and 2 defeats in their last 5 for Middlesbrough, which is a real surprise. I think that they're probably tipped for promotion. Decent side, Middlesbrough, but just not having a great season. We're going to League One. Ipswich, they got back to winning ways and remain top, but just on goal difference after a 3-1 win away at Southend, which was Sol Campbell's first game in charge. Wickham, they join them. They're level on 30 points after a 1-0 away win at Rotherham, but they have played a game more. Peterborough, they've dropped to 3rd after being held at home to a 2-2 draw against Coventry. Fleetwood and Oxford, they both won at the weekend against MK Dons and Rochdale respectively, and now sit in 4th and 5th place. Coventry, they're in the final playoff place in 6th after their point away at Peterborough. At the bottom, Bolton's game against Lincoln was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch, so they remain on -5 points. But I know you mentioned it last week, Chris, but they did get their first win against Bristol Rovers last season. It's the first win of the season. Southend, they remain on 5 points after defeat at home to Ipswich, so Sol Campbell's definitely got his work cut out there at Southend. They've now conceded 43 goals in their 15 matches. That's nearly 3 a game. So, well, I can see why they brought an ex-defender in as manager. Wimbledon, they currently sit in the final relegation place on 12 points and are a point from safety, but they didn't play at the weekend. I guess it's with the point deduction from Bolton. If they hadn't had that, bearing in mind that they've been playing with a lot of youngsters for the majority of this season, they would actually be ahead of Southend. If they hadn't had the points deduction, that's how bad Southend's start to the season's been. Okay, so if you want to take us to League 2, Chris.
So a few postponements this week, but Crewe remain top despite them not playing. Their game was called off. The local derby between Exeter and Plymouth ended 4-0 to Exeter, who are in 2nd. Cheltenham are in 3rd. Their game was also called off, as was 4th place Forest Green. Swindon up to 5th after they thrashed Crawley 4-0 away. Bradford in 6th. Their game was also called off. And Newport are in 7th. They lost 3-1 to Colchester despite taking the lead. But only 3 points separate 1st to 7th at the moment. So it's, I know a couple of teams do have a game in hand, but it is pretty close up there at the moment. The battle for last place took place. As Stevenage and Morecambe went head-to-head. Stevenage actually ended up winning the game 1-0, which means Morecambe have now dropped to the foot of the table. So we'll move on to Yeovil in the National League. It's another win for Yeovil. They beat Chorley by 2-1 after an 86-minute winner from Rhys Murphy, meaning that they took all the points. Yeovil are now in 2nd and just a point behind leaders Bromley. So all positive. And they won their FA Cup match last night.
FA Cup last night.
Yep, they won 3-0 last night. So they'll be playing Hartlepool.
Yeah, I was going to say they're going to play Hartlepool. Just on the FA Cup, so it's probably worth just giving Altrincham a mention. Our team in our FA Cup feature at the moment. So they play Kings Lynn this coming weekend. They're currently 5th in the table. The Altringham's match against Telford at the weekend was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. Now, I know we sort of said in their intro last week that they haven't played a league game sort of since the middle of September, I think. So, another league game called off.
Waiting.
But
Still waiting.
Yeah,
Then.
absolutely. But huge news. So their first round game against York has been selected to be shown on BBC.
There you go, look.
So we will be following the match live through the BBC. We'll be able to do a bit after the game as well. So so the match has been moved to Sunday the 10th. I think it's a 12:30 or 1:45 kickoff.
So like a early afternoon kickoff.
Yeah. So sit down, cup of tea, Sunday roast. Be lovely. Yeah, be lovely to watch them. Because obviously it's difficult for us to travel that far. So it's great that they'll be on telly.
We've had 3 or 4 northern teams now, haven't we? So it's been hard to get. Yeah,
it'd be difficult to get there, but so we had to watch this one on telly, so that's good news. So I'll be able to do some stuff on the podcast in the build up to that game, and then obviously afterwards as well. So that's the EFL and Yeovil Watch done. So we'll just give you a quick update on predictions. I don't like predictions anymore, I've decided.
So the best of your form is you are the Watford of predictions at the moment.
I think that's being kind to Watford, to be honest. So Nathan won last week, so he got 14 points of three correct outcomes and the golden goal. I suppose if you're going to get golden goal, pick the one that's 47 seconds.
Just to interrupt, Manchester United have actually managed to score a penalty tonight of all times to score.
Have they really?
Yeah, they have.
Who scored it?
Rashford.
There's some sort of karma at work.
Yeah.
I don't care. Spurs are out. I'm not bothered who wins. So coming up this week in the predictions, so we've got set piece shirts. So for those of you that listen and follow the podcast, you may know that we recently ran a competition in conjunction with them, giving away the retro Liverpool shirt. So so set piece shirts are taking up the predictions challenge this week. So we'll see how they get on. We've got Man City Saints in there. So you've gone 3-0. I've gone 5-0, and then set piece have gone 3-1.
I guess so.
We must have done that before the Leicester game. I don't know. I can't remember when we did it. But so we'll keep the we'll get the predictions, the scores, the matches are online. So once they've been completed at the weekend, we'll put the results on. And as always, from a predictions perspective, you can get all the previous rounds, all the details, current leaderboard, all that sort of stuff on the website. Okay, so come on, Chris. Wonders of White. It's your time to shine.
Well, you have actually taken one of them already, but it was an obvious one for Leicester. So it was Leicester have recorded the biggest ever victory by an away side in the English top flight match in 131-year history of the Football League.
That was a given, Chris. That's a poor stat. Come on.
Hang on. The next one you'll like is Luka Milivojevic is now the third best Premier League penalty taker of all time by conversion rate. So he has scored 21 in 23 penalties.
So who's above him? Letizia
is top. He is 25 of 26.
Did he only ever miss one? Crikey.
Yeah, and the other one is Thierry Henry, who had 23 and 25.
And one of those ones was probably the Robert Pires one, which was just ridiculous. That must go down as a missed pen.
Yep, so Pulisic is only the second ever player from America to score a Premier League hat-trick. Can you name the other one?
I can.
It was
Clint Dempsey.
Obviously. It was Clint Dempsey, yeah.
For Fulham.
Jordan Henderson has scored his first Premier League goal at Anfield since he netted against West Brom on December the 15th, 2015.
That's a good stat, Chris.
Yeah,
I wonder if he must have scored away. He
yeah,
must have scored away in that
he
time.
scored against Chelsea.
Oh yeah, that thunderbolt.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah,
it's not about.
We spoke about that goal many a time.
Yeah, it's not about that goal, though, really, is it?
No. Good stats though, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks. The Chelsea one's good. Yeah. Okay, so we're coming towards the end of this week's episode. So
this next bit, because for some reason
we can't hide any longer.
My mind has gone completely blank, and I can't actually think of a referee apart from Howard Webb.
So I'm gonna look. I have no idea about this, so I think I can probably throw 3, maybe 4 referees at you, and I think we just have to make a decision. So we'll take Howard Webb.
The obvious one is that Howard Webb, and the obvious one is probably Mike D. Because how long has he been there? He's still reffing now.
He is, but I have no idea how many games he's ref. So Howard Webb, Mike Dean, Mark Clattenburg, Jeff Winter. He was a Premier League. He was a. I only know him because I remember him being on Soccer AM.
Martin Atkinson is another one.
Martin Atkinson, so he's still going. Is it Martin Oliver at the moment? Is his first name Martin?
He hasn't been around that long.
Okay, so Howard Webb, Mike Dean, Mark Clattenburg. It's got to be one of those 3.
I'll let you have a guess because I can't think.
Well, I'd have to. Howard Webb's the most famous one.
He's the one I'd pick, but
I remember him being in a World Cup. So, who was the guy who did the 2 yellow cards and didn't send him off?
Graham Poll. Was it Graham Poll?
Graham Poll. No, let's stick with Howard. This is just going to be just.
So I've got a list of the top 5. Okay, so in number 5 is Howard Webb. I got it already. He got 297. Phil Dowd was 4th with 307. Hang on, I'm having to. It's like a slideshow. Martin Atkinson is 327.
They say that'd be disappointing.
Graham Poll was 2nd with 329.
Don't be Clattenburg.
And 1st is Mike Dean with 400. He's got 100 on any other referee at the moment. His first official game in the Premier League was in the year 2000.
Year 2000? Seriously?
Yeah. And this is his 17th.
Well, I suppose you've clocked up.
Yeah. This is his.
Oh well, never mind.
He's 49. I didn't realise he was that old.
So 6-4. Pete's got one back, so he's got us the last 2 weeks. So yeah, good. Pete, the issue is now that he knows our weakness. He knows that our weakness is match officials.
Referees, yeah.
So maybe he'll go after that. Yeah. Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps it up for this week's episode. It's probably worth noting now we've got guest presenter next week because I'm not here. So Liam will be back. He's back. So again, for those of you that listen to the podcast regularly, Liam was on a couple of weeks ago. He came on and did a Villa review for us because he's a Villa fan.
He's picked a great week to come on because Villa are away to Liverpool at the weekend. So.
Yeah. So well, he's either really or but no, it'll give a good analysis. So Liam's going to be co-hosting with Chris next week. So yeah, so listen out for it. Be a bit of a change on the podcast. So thanks for listening. As always, if you like what you hear, subscribe or follow us on any of our social media channels. Anything from
No, Nothing
Chris, you
really.
go and watch
Just
second
go and
half of
watch
the
the game now, I suppose. But although I think the score is still. Let me just double check. It is still 1-0. So hopefully we get back into
Well, there's
that.
plenty of time. Just
But
over half an hour.
This
gone.
isn't an excuse or anything, but Man
here we
United
go.
they have put out a pretty strong side compared to the side that Chelsea have put out.
Oh, you won't win anything with kids. Right, okay.
We'll let it there.
So Chris will see you next week, and
Yep.
I'll see you in a couple of weeks. So thanks for listening.
See you next week.